Welcome to the NBA.com. This is John's reports for the 21st, and the softening continued. We did get the dip below the red line on the extreme histogram, which is something we were looking for, which means that your support areas at 76% is in danger. Uh, Fortunately, you still have very weak short interest in this, but you're just not seeing any new buyers popping in, and now you've got a dip of the at least the S&P now dipping below 25 level, just at the edge of it. Of course, the day isn't done, but still, it's an indication that there's just a lack of enthusiasm. It's just that time. I mean, everyone's now kind of expecting Powell to give a quarter point. Um, some argue it should be more, and he's just seemingly wanting to do it just to, get people off his back. Doesn't seem like he's all that interested in it, and even their discussion again, still talking about inflation, tariff inflation, just crazy. But that's their narrative, and they're sticking with it. So, they're just upset that companies weren't able to pass those prices on, and they've had to absorb the costs. Why? Because there are other products people can buy, and you can't just raise your price arbitrarily. Duh. I mean, we've talked about it for a long time, but it's just funny to see it actually take place in practice, and them being so surprised by what is obvious economics. From an NQ standpoint, though, you can see I already broke those supports, and even in greater danger now is the MBI White almost reaching a crossover point. You still have the DOC steel reset, which normally would be enough to keep things from getting too ugly. That's why I suggested 50% was still within range. But now you're getting the minus 19 almost on the DOC for the green. Once you get into that minus 20 range, and that usually you get an automatic kind of bolster pickup from it. But we have moved very negative for the shakeout for the Nasdaq and that. So all this can grow with just continued easing, and this gets back to the idea that it doesn't take much to wipe out all these slow gains over weeks in a single couple of days. That's normal behavior. From a Treasury standpoint, the belief that the Fed is going to give a small rate cut, which will ease off some pressures, but again, it all comes back to this oil, and the suppressed oil price certainly dampening any criticism the Fed has, because again, if energy prices remain low, you're going to get growth. Now, but what I talked about, and I think that we're going to start to see this play out as the year ends and begins next year, um, electricity prices bifurcating from what oil does as far as energy within the economy, and that is a secondary inflationary item that I think that none of people are talking about, and is a direct result of the data centers and that drawing and causing excessive price increases in certain regions, and that's going to create certain pockets of distress. So we'll follow that one, but I mean overall, it's going to be an interesting one over time, because it's not going to end anytime soon. Of course, everyone still loves the euro. They're going to be spending money they don't have to buy weapons to continue to fight Russians, because it's such a threat. From a gold standpoint, and not a whole lot happening. Still in the weakness. Potentially has an opportunity here to overcome that, and that would be the next resurgence, particularly if you get any improvement in oil prices or whatever that might give a little excitement to the inflation crowd. And from a crypto standpoint, BTC, back to 50%, still within a soft read at this particular stage. So nothing about it is in turnaround mode just yet. ETH faring far better, but also still under that same softness. And this is just reflective of what the market's doing. So we're still relatively close to all-time highs, and it's just a few days ago. So you're really not that huge a crisis mode, but definitely as clear as we kept seeing MBI white spikes coming up through, and even at the start of yesterday, MBI white led. You had magenta, holding things fairly decent, but as soon as that broke down, you broke into significant new lows, and then you had the magenta crossover, and that led to the move above the 23%. And then we got it to the 50. You got MBI white spike, still had magenta leading and still holding up, but now it's starting to break down. And that would be your cue that you're going to get some additional weakness built into that. It's usually the second run of the MBI weight, though, on this. So we're going to see another move that gets above the 50% before you get your push back towards the 0%. But we'll continue to follow it. That's been a nice rise from the shakeout. See again, getting down into those depths there. We were in the minus 25 range, and you also had the same thing with the DSC in the minus 24 category. And then you got that automatic sort of bump and kind of simply call it a relief rally there, shorts covering and causes a nice little spike, and then without any new buyers to fill in, it just falls back down again. The question you look for is, are there improved readings on that secondary low match? And that's just a matter of waiting for it to take place. So it should happen a little bit later in the day. And from an intraday standpoint of the 5-minute chart here, you can see how the collapse in the pre-market, and then of course they reversed it back. So as put buyers got activated in there, they brought the call guys back in to round things off a little bit. In the Asian session, there wasn't a whole lot of activity in here. In the EU session, no excitement whatsoever. So we're just sort of hanging around the zero range. Nobody's excited about any of this, and they're just waiting for some degree of clarity as to what the Fed is going to do, and somehow thinking that's going to be relevant. But the amount of investment things that is coming into the U.S., and if any level of peace can be achieved, then you're only going to have a positive dividend from that. Every time there's endings of wars, you get a pretty strong bounce in the economy within a few years from it. So we'll keep an eye on it. As always, anything relevant, I'll put on the team chat. Have a good one. Trade well.